This video will address some of the ideas behind the 5.4 office assembly wall and how to make an assembly. Also how to load on the title block that appears not just at the beginning of 5.4 that this is the house plan, but actually office house stacked wall. But this video refers more to the finishing up of this page, and usually the page 561, which presents a problem. So let's take a closer look at how to make an assembly. Let's take a look at our model here. Now that I've finished, mine looks just a little bit different than yours, but basically the same. We're going to do a screen and capture everything in here. Then we're going to go to our filter, and according to the instructions we are going to check none, which is going to empty all the blue selections. By doing that, we can choose the things that we really want as part of the wall assembly and leave the rest behind. We're going to apply, and we'll say OK. Now we'll check our modify button. Let's do one more. That slipped out of the that slipped away. So let's do it again. We're going to check none. We're going to add a wall. OK. Apply. Create a wall assembly. We're going to name this assembly just the things that are highlighted in blue. I'll move this off to the side. So we're going to rename this wall assembly in the type edit box. We can look at our options and we're going to say OK. Now by assigning it a name, we've created the assembly in itself, and this is kind of like a it acts in the same way that a group would, where you're grouping things that are similar together. And this assembly, whenever you're doing parts that might be used over and over, say that this particular building sections might be a 10-story building, and it's going to have the exact same layout for the offices, we can just create the assembly and add one to each floor. Now you can also, while I'm here, if you did it wrong, you can do this disassemble, and you'll revert back to where you started, which is very helpful. So edit assembly and disassemble. Now you can note that one thing we've created here is this wall assembly. Okay, we're going to, once that's shown up, that means that it exists in our Revit files. And now we can go forward to create a Create View tool. And I had trouble getting back to the Create View tool, but what you have to do is touch the assembly and then it will appear. Without it, you can't find it. So touch the assembly, and now we can find our Create tools, and where we last left off, we're going to do a Create View. And this one was a little hard to read in the book, but now I do see that I have the wall schedule, and it's telling me to keep all these things and to change scale. Okay, and it's getting smaller because I think it's going to plan for this wall schedule. Next thing, you may or may not have some of the title blocks, and this would be a family. You would have to load that prior to doing this, but mine is showing up here, so maybe it's included in your set as well. And then once I read through the instructions, I will choose OK. And now when I go back to level 1, everything is as it was. But in addition to the wall assembly, I now have created all those things that the little blue block, the blue boxes that I checked and I kept check on the create views are available to me, and these are views that I've created. So if I want to go to, and I really don't need all these, so I'm surprised that the book says choose them all, but let's just say if I did a detail section, right, immediately go to sections, and we haven't worked with any of these tools. So if all this looks strange, don't worry about this. We're going to cover this. What we do need to worry about is that now we have this nice title block, A101, it's the Autodesk title block, and we can start adding things onto this sheet. Think of this as a cover sheet, and we're going to add on our little images that we're going to add to this page. So let's do that next. Okay, so we should have checked that 330 seconds. 330 seconds equal 1 foot here. So now, whatever we want to show up, we're going to come over here, pick and drag over, which is odd to me, but it works. So we're going to say we want to see the detail, plan detail from the wall assembly. Plan detail, choose it, and drag it over here, sort of a drag and drop. I can see the detail there. And next, it asks me for these odd things now. And this is what, okay, I have a material takeoff, and that's going to be loaded. Mine looks different, so I need to figure out, my next task is how to, well, see if that reads correctly. Okay. It's just the size of these things that I need to figure out to perfect to get it to look more professional. So that's next. So if I split it, then it comes down in two. I can make two parts. And so this is accounting for all of the walls that I have. And I can leave that in. Material takeoff. Okay, so now I need to do a little moving around. Let's move this guy down here. And try and locate these as the picture. Remember this book, I always say, just try and aim for what the picture might look like as opposed to the words. I had a lot of trouble on this particular last 2 pages of this. So let's see, this is. And the next one is material parts list, part list. Okay. Making it fit is always a trick, so we'll split it and I'll bring it down. This is probably another thing that you could make into some kind of assembly or a group, so that you can move these 2 parts at the same time. But I'm happy with the work that I got now. Just to get this this part up and running is success for this particular drawing venture. So now I'll zoom out, and just a quick note, you can fill out your owner, your project name, and these are some of the things that you'll get familiar with as we work in title blocks. These are very important for each document because it tells us what has happened to this particular page of drawings, and you can put in your name here and the description. And if we had a client, we'd fill out these particular sections, and replacing the Autodesk in the future will be your architectural office name. So there we have it. That is the last part of page 562 to 563, and hope this helps.